Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Matt. Sorry, I forgot.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Matt.
Follow along as we build our house from start to finish.
Hey guys, we wanted to invite you to follow along the journey of us building our own custom home. And before we do all that, we wanted you guys to get to know us a little bit.
So you're probably wondering why we're having a virtual date night. And that is because we're apart right now. Matt is in Philly and I'm in Colorado Springs where our house is. We're in the process of selling the home. So we're moving next week, hence the bare walls all behind me. But yeah, so we're separated because I'm transitioning from the military. And I think it probably makes most sense to kind of back up to how we met to kind of explain to where we're at right now. So we met at West Point.
We started dating towards the end of junior year, so 2013.
Yes. We fell in love. After Matt called me a unicorn in the hallway.
Next. So what's important here is leaving West Point in a young relationship like we were in, it causes some trouble because towards the end of your time at school, you actually pick a post for where you're going to be stationed in the Army. That could be right outside of Seattle, or that could be outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, or it could be Italy.
Or Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Right. So when we are applying for posts, it goes off of your class rank where you go. So it's kind of up to you, as in the higher rank you have, the better chance you have at getting the post you want. But with that comes, some of the Army can tell you where to go. So we both put in for Fort Campbell because we were dating for about a year at that point. And it was kind of a roll of the dice. And we both got Fort Campbell.
Thank God. Because we would probably not be together right now.
Right. So we had a conversation about like, if this didn't work out, if she was going to be at Fort Lewis in Washington State and I was at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, that we were too young and it was too much to try and make that work. So, but through that time at Fort Campbell, we had a blast. We lived right outside of Nashville, and I deployed in 2016 to 2017. And the deployment thing it's obvious. It's either a solidifier in your relationship or it can make it crumble. And I thought we had an amazing 9 months, although it was weird for us and weird for me. I think our relationship flourished. And when we got back from there, we went to Peru.
So we went to Peru, and at that point, I kind of like knew I wanted to marry Matt, but I like helped him pack. Like we were like sharing luggage and stuff, and like in no way throughout this entire like international trip and packing and all this stuff did I ever even like think he had a ring. So I didn't think we were going to get proposed or we were going to get engaged there at all. And then we went to Machu Picchu, and it was like super rainy, super foggy. It's beautiful, but like when there's so much clouds, like you can't see really the beauty of Machu Picchu. So we went through this whole tour and it was incredible. Our tour guide was amazing. We're learning about all these different things, like how did they build this incredible city? But the whole time Matt is like kind of like down, like he's like down in the dumps, kind of sad, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's hangry. We should probably get a snack at some point. So like right towards the end of the tour, they were like, okay, like, you can take pictures, take your time, whatever. and like the clouds parted and all the sun rays came through, and it's like we were wearing these ponchos, like raining, like, and then all of a sudden the sun came out, and then Matt was like, Amy, we have to get to the top and we have to take a picture. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and he was like, no, we need to go right now before the clouds come back. And I'm like, okay. And then boom, he's gone. Like, my dude is running like 6 miles up the side of a mountain. And then we get to the top and he like asked some guy to take a picture. And I'm like, okay, can I like catch my breath? Like, I'm gassed. Can I take this poncho off? So I put my hair in a top knot, and then I go to turn for the picture. And then he's like, before we take this picture, ring, me, shocked, tears, like
ugly cries,
ugly cry. Cue up the pic of that. But yeah, it was like really special. I had no idea it was coming, and it was like the coolest, most epic proposal ever.
Yeah, I think one thing that came from that period though was dual military caused a lot of effort in terms of being away from each other. So we graduated from school. I lived in Fort Benning, Georgia. She lived at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. That was for over a year. Then we get to Fort Campbell, and with training every month and 2 weeks in the field, a month in Louisiana for training, what have you. We ended up finishing my 5 years in the Army, which is 60 months. I think of those 60 months, we spent 22 of them in the same state. So that kind of started to lean on us. But Amy wanted to command a company before she left the Army. So we had to go to one more duty station at Fort Carson, Colorado, which we got completely lucky with. But there's also a decision point post command.
Yeah, so command has always been like what I've really wanted from the Army. Like, I mean, it's been an incredible experience, like from the start to the finish, but the one thing I really wanted was to have a company. So yeah, I figured this was the perfect cherry on top of my career and the perfect opportunity for us to kind of pivot to a place where we want to be long-term, put down our roots, be near family, where we want to raise our kids. So I think like for Matt specifically, being near his family and like where he was raised was super important to him. And I mean, it's like the most beautiful area, incredible school districts. We're really close to both of our families. So it kind of seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and when we started scouting out the Philadelphia area, we didn't have a location we could pin to with a job that we had set up or anything like that. Because me quitting my job in Colorado and her getting out of the Army, we had nothing really lined up. So we started talking to my dad, who's been building houses for 40 years, custom homes, big houses on the main line outside of Philadelphia. And we started having this conversation about being in an advantageous position from Philly if we work in Philly, as well as not being in a place where we're spending close to $1 million on a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And in that process, I think we had trouble with finding a house that fit our budget, as well as a potential location, and something that we were comfortable living with like right now, as in doesn't need a significant amount of updates or something. And we just kind of were striking out. And I went out for a work trip out to Wyoming, and I called my pops from the hotel, and we were just talking about this little snag we're in on Zillow and what we're going to do for the next couple years. And he just looked at me and he goes, "Hey bud, I got an idea." The baby.
Doesn't she look so little?
She looks, I mean, she has the exact fur as a lion. She's a lioness, but she's also mostly deer dingo. She's deer dingo with
and exhausted. Look at her eyes.
Yo, she's also like
so tired.
She's the mammal. She's the mammal version of what, like a cashew.
Why is she so tired?
Also, I hate when she never surrenders. Like she's like holding on. Just you live the life of it. Like you got nothing to do tomorrow. Just go nap.